Hey guys, welcome to another New World video. In today's video, I wanted to continue updating my crafting guides. I had put this off for some time and my current guides are way out of date. But the reason I hadn't updated them until now was because they made changes to the crafting system almost every other patch since last summer. But now I think we're in a spot where I can update them in a more final, meaningful way. At least for a good while. And let's be honest, there really isn't a whole lot else going on in New World right now, so what better time to get it done? So in this one, we will be updating Jewelcrafting. I've gotten so many requests for this one, and to be honest, I had put it off. Because frankly, it has always been one of the most expensive and grind intensive to max. But here we are, and I have finally finished it. So let's get into it. Jewelcrafting in New World is a very important skill. It allows crafters to create rings, amulets, earrings, and of course, gemstone dust. The most important thing though, will be the rings, amulets, and earrings of course. A jewel crafter who is skilled in their trade can make hundreds of thousands of coin making things like this if they turn out correctly. And an important thing to keep in mind while crafting these will be the effect that the gem you choose to use in the craft will have on the item that you're crafting. There are currently 15 different types of gems in New World, and each one has a different kind of effect on the jewelry. Higher tier gems will of course have a higher potency impact on the craft, so using a tier 2 gem will have less of an impact than using a tier 5. I will now list the gems and what effect they will have when used in the crafting recipe. The Amber Gem. This produces a Nature Ward perk that absorbs a percentage of the nature damage that you take. The Amethyst Gem produces the Abyssal Ward perk that absorbs a % of the void damage that you take. The Aquamarine Gem. This produces an Ice Ward perk that absorbs a % ice damage. The Carnelian. This gem produces the Calming perk that causes you to generate a % less threat. The Diamond. This gem of course produces the Wilderness Ward perk that absorbs a % of the physical and elemental damage. The Emerald. This produces the Thrust Ward perk that absorbs a % of the thrust damage that you take. The Jasper Gem. When used, this produces the Strike Ward perk, which will absorb a % of strike damage that you take. And the Malachite. This gem produces the Spectral Ward perk that absorbs a % of elemental damage and physical damage. More elemental than physical, much like the Diamond that will absorb more physical than elemental. The Moonstone Gem. This produces the Slash Ward perk that reduces the amount of slashing damage that you take. And the Onyx. This gem produces the Physical Ward perk that absorbs physical damage. And the Opal. This gem produces the Elemental Ward perk that absorbs a % of the elemental damage that you take. And of course the Pearl. The Pearl produces a Lucky perk that increases your monster and chest luck %. The Ruby. This gem produces the Fire Ward perk that absorbs a % of the fire damage. And the Sapphire. The Sapphire produces the Arcane Ward perk that absorbs a % of all incoming arcane damage. And the Topaz. The Topaz of course produces the Lightning Ward perk that absorbs a % of all incoming lightning damage. Now, before I begin with the leveling, I want to cover a couple of things that will make leveling much easier. This will apply to every single stage. This way I don't have to mention it at every stage over and over throughout the video. The first and most important thing I want to say is do not fuse any gems you gather while preparing to do this trade. When fusing gems, it will increase the tier of the gem type used. By doing so, you will get much less experience for your investment. The only time you should fuse a gem or use gems higher than tier 2 in jewel crafting is when you are attempting to make higher tier jewelry to use or to sell. For example, tier 2 gems when crafted are worth 48 experience each, and tier 3 gems are worth 168 experience each. To fuse into a tier 3 gem, you will need 4 gems, which is worth 192 experience over the 168. So you lose 24 experience for fusing. On top of that, you have to use additional elemental materials like motes, essences, and stuff like that to fuse them. So your objective will be to gather raw gems or purchase raw gems and sell your lower gems. Don't fuse any for completing your training. A new system I need to mention is the perfect salvage system. I won't get into that. I have made a guide on this system and have provided a link in the description to it. But the important thing to know here is that when you're training a trade skill, always craft in sessions, breaking the total for each tier that I list into pieces. This way you will be able to utilize the potential scraps you receive from perfect salvages for free experience, and it is not a small amount either. I recommend checking out that guide now. And salvaging for jewel crafting is a bit different than it is for other trade skills. When salvaging jewelry, you have a tiny chance at getting the same tier gem back and a high chance of getting a lower tier gem back. And unlike in the past, with the July update, with the addition of the perfect salvage system, you now also have a chance of simply getting no gem back. The gem you receive back when you get one is only one tier lower than before. So for the leveling. So to begin, I want to say that this trade skill by far is one that has been the most affected from the changes to the trade skill leveling so far. This trade skill at launch and even after the nerfs has always been a very difficult one, coming at high cost, tons of needed materials, and the grind was pure pain. But I will say that's completely changed. Now, I would even go so far as to say this is maybe the easiest trade skill now to max in the game, which is crazy to even say. I know it blew me away, but it was a nice surprise. So let's just get into the leveling. Here is where in these guides historically I would break down the leveling into segments of 50, then tell you the mats that you'll require and the amounts of what to make in order to reach each benchmark before moving on to the next group. Well, not anymore. Now, all you will want to do is simply work your way through the list of available crafts. This is because they changed it, making the first time crafting bonus a 3x multiplier, so you get 3 times the experience whenever you craft something for the first time. So now there is little need for grinding. You will, however, hit 2 walls in the leveling process for this one, and I did some research when this happened and I found the cheapest things to make. So as always, I sent some coin to my new crafting alt, the one that I've been using for this guide series to level this. I sent her 30k and that's all she was getting, and then I began. After testing a bunch of things and getting to 200, I think I found what's your best option. So here's your shopping list if you're one of those people who like to have it all and do it in one shot. You'll need 1 of every cut flawed gem type, you'll need 2 of every cut regular gem type, and you'll need 3 of every cut brilliant gem type. Then you'll need 3 of every cut pristine gem type. You'll also need 909 regular gem type, uncut, mixed or 1 type, just make sure it's the cheapest. And you will also need 2,838 brilliant uncut gems. This can be mixed or 1 type, just again be sure that it's the cheapest. You will also need 1,485 silver ingots. All of these materials cost me roughly 28,000 on my server. This was because I started the day before and I placed buy orders for the uncut gems, so I could get them as cheap as possible. And the uncut gems make up about 70% of the total cost of this, so if you have a way that you can get them cheap, you will save a ton of coin here. Now I know this sounds like a lot of materials to a new player, but it truly isn't. This isn't even a fraction of what we once needed to max this skill. So, now that you have the materials, what do you do with them? The first thing you will want to do is make 135 silver gem settings, 60 silver chains, 45 silver bands, and 30 silver hooks. Once you have done that, start making 1 of everything, at first amulets, then rings, then earrings, and when you reach 134 jewel crafting, you will hit your first wall. This will be where you will run out of recipes and still need 16 levels to unlock more. This is why you have the 909 regular gems on hand. You will now make 303 common gemstone dust, and making those will get you to 150, and then you can proceed to craft 1 of all of the new unlocked recipes. Then you will hit 173 jewel crafting, and that's it. You will now have made 1 of everything and you're stuck again. At this point you will make 946 strong gemstone dust, and then that's it, you're 200. Unbelievably easy, right? The only even marginally difficult part of this now is the regular uncut gems to finish it off, but you can get them for 1 or maybe 2 coin per in buy orders, so it's not nearly as bad as it sounds. So, now that we are 200 jewel crafting, what's next? Well, we have quite a bit of work to do still. First, you're going to need your jewel crafting set. This is, of course, mandatory really, and will be necessary if you plan on crafting 600 gear score earrings, amulets, or rings. And once again, the tier 4 set, the mixer set, is only now obtainable from the patterns from the aptitude crates. However, the tier 5 set is still farmable. For the helm, you will want to kill Putris, found in Mosswater Berg in Reekwater. For the chest, you will want to farm Ivan the Inevitable, found of course in Skysong Crypt in Ebonscale Reach. For the gloves, you will want to farm Palace Maiden Zhao, found in the Imperial Palace in Ebonscale Reach. For the pants, you will be farming a Georgian, found in the Grasping Summit in Needon Grove. For the boots, Terror of the Mountain, you will find this mob in Spelunker's Demise in the Shattered Mountain. You will also require an earring with +5 minimum Jewelcraft crafted item quality. These have been changed slightly and drop far less in the world now. However, the Orichalcum Jewel Crafter charm is very cheap on the market and can be used at your outfitting station to craft your own earring by adding it to the desired mod slot. This earring can be low level, any quality, none of this really matters. You will only be wearing it to craft, and that's all that's important from it is the +5 jewel craft. Next up, trophies, and these ones are a bit different than what you're used to. You will of course want to have your 3 major armoring trophies. These aren't quite as important as the jewel craft set, as they do not increase your max potential roll on crafting. They simply increase your minimum, so you can craft 600 gear score items without them. However, they will decrease your roll range, giving you along with everything else the desired 595 to 600 potential roll, decreasing your chances at rolling purples and increasing your chances at rolling legendaries. And finally, your food. As a jewel crafter, when you craft, you are always going to want to have glazed melon bread on hand, as these provide you with the needed plus 15 minimum gear score when you craft jewel crafted items. Also, it is important for me to mention here that much like the trophies, you will be wanting to keep an eye out for the Armorer's Inspiration buff in the territory buffs, because many Armorer buffs are shared by jewel crafters. Well guys, I hope this updated guide helps those of you out there who have posted on all my old videos requesting it, and as things change, I will endeavor to keep things up to date as possible. If you have any questions, please feel free to check my Discord. I or someone there will always be available to help. Also guys, I just wanted to give everyone a big heads up about the channel's Patreon. I'm not generally the type to advertise on my videos, but many members of my community have asked me to do this, so here we are. So why should you join up to my Patreon? Well, it's simple. I don't make enough off my YouTube channel to do this full time, and any contribution to the channel I will use directly for content for you guys. That's first and foremost, but also, I will be doing monthly giveaways for Patreon members only, and certain videos moving forward such as gold guides, anything that might have a huge impact on the in-game economy. Any of those videos will be available for patrons only for 48 hours before I publish them on YouTube publicly, so that it might give my patrons a leg up before the market adjusts as it always does when I post those types of videos. So guys, if you want to support me and the channel in making content, please look in the description and find my Patreon link. And if you can't or simply don't want to, please hit the like button and subscribe, as it helps me a great deal also. And to those already doing all of these things, thank you so much. You're the ones who make these videos possible, and I really truly thank you. Okay guys, that's enough of that. Thanks for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one.